king, I am not a god, I am Hump
What's good, Tano, and welcome in another video, of course, about Warframe. This time it's about the butterfly, the smallest frame in the game, Titania Prime build for level 9999 steel path enemies in Warframe. While we're making a build about her, because after the update Tekroton Core, the Exalted Weapon Rework affected her, and first thing first, let me show you what she's capable of in the end game. Mamma mia, that's the power of the butterfly. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, Tano. Much appreciated. As always, before I build my weapons or my warframes, I rely on my method called DVS. D for damage, V for viral, S for strip. Check the sheet right here. And as always, if you don't like my methods on how I proc viral and armor strip enemies, it's okay. Check the sheet right here. It can help you maneuver around my methods. And of course, you need to learn about shield gating in Warframe. Technically, it's simple. Every time you lose shield, you enter gate phase, you become invulnerable. So you want to return back your shield so enemies doesn't reach your HP and then you die. The gate phase makes you invulnerable for a certain duration, affected by how much shields you have. 1150 shields equal to 2.5 second invulnerability. Hildrin can go for 3.5 seconds because that's his passive. How you return your shield every time you gate? Simple, by helmet abilities like for example Pillage or Condemn, or like some mods like Brief Respite. When you consume energy, percentage of it converts to shields. And of course I want the comment section to helps everyone improve and try different builds, and especially the new players. So I prepared this Warframe community guideline for comments, what to do and what not to do. So let's keep it a constructive comment section. And now, let's go for her kit. And starting her kit as always with the passive. Titania generates health for herself and nearby allies every time she casts an ability. Low to mid game, it's okay, you can use it, you can benefit from it. I will give it 5 to 10. For the end game and level cap, this is a very bad passive and it will help you with nothing. Technically, I would give it 1 out of 10. Now, I hope DE one day consider when they are making a frame from a normal version to the Prime version, they improve the kit or rework certain stuff so the frame feels real Prime instead of just like some health, some energy, some, no. Spell blind. Enemies fumble their weapons as they are whisked into the air. Nearby allies become immune to static effects. That's nice. Hold the ability to cast the immunity into Titania, and so you don't need to use Prime sure-footed because you will not get knocked down, or you're not gonna get any kind of status, even the status that where you dash, you hit yourself in a wall and you tremble. No, you will not have any of that stuff. Just keep Spellblind active. Now, the augment spell Bound Harvest, hitting at least 4 enemies with Spellblind grants Titania 50 energy. The next caster has plus 40% ability range. Now, very nice augment if you plan on making Titania a support Warframe where you are slowing down enemies, blinding enemies, and you gonna go with high range. And I don't think that's the way to play her, as there is other Warframes can go for that kind of style, but it's up to you how you want to take her, because there is no perfect build anywhere. It's always what you plan on how you want to use the Warframe on your likings. I'm just giving you informations, and I'm giving you opinions, build, ideas, and then you can take it all and create your own. That's how you do it now. Tribute. This second ability, cycle through and extract one of the 4 buffs when cast on enemy. Thorns reduce incoming damage, Dust degrades enemy accuracy, Full Moon increase companion damage, Entangle slows enemy within range. Now again, the Entangle will be really nice because it slows down those enemies. Again, you build for high range and strength, and with Spellblind, Tribute, you're gonna be slowing enemies around. Not ideal for survival missions, but for defense or Cascade, for low to mid game, you'll be good to go. And also the fact that it also reduce incoming damage, so we're talking about damage reduction. And so for low to mid game, very good, as damage reduction will play a nice role. But at the end game, even if you're running 99% damage reduction, you will not go anywhere and you're pretty much gonna be dead. Lantern. Create a swarm of razorflies that transform an enemy into a irresistible floating beacon, attracting witless comrades before exploding on command. So this is technically some sort of charm. Think about it like works similar a bit to Resonator. So you choose a target, boom, ta, and that's pretty much it. And if the target dies before that effect is full complete, you return your energy, and it procs heat as well in case you want to build her around 2 paths. Think about it. Now, it got an augment called Bugling Lantern. Attract enemies takes 100% more weapon damage. So the enemies that going to run and chase that target, they will be like taking more damage. Now there is many ways to like build around it, and you can make that enemy vulnerable in a way, and you gonna increase the weapon damage. But I don't think the way, because she's more into a focused single targeting frame in my opinion, and it's an amazing augment. I like it, the Lantern augment, but if you like to use it, go ahead. There is nothing wrong with that. Razor Wing, her 4th ability, and this is how you summon the Exalted weapon. Shrink down and takes flight, and you have some sort of evasion where you dodge certain percent of bullets. Okay, so it's like, because you're so small, the bullets doesn't catch you, but honestly, at level cap, enemies are very good accuracy. Shrink down and take flight while razorflies attack nearby enemies, those little butterflies that run around you, and amplify the damage they take. Really good stuff, and this ability is the best in her kit, and this is what makes Titania a Titania. And I hope DE in the future give us more abilities like this. For example, in melee frame, let's say for example Atlas, he becomes so small and he starts fisting enemies. That would be very, very nice. Now, the augments, Ironclad Flight, disable vacuum in Razor Wind, reduce damage by 40% while airborne. The vacuum they talk about is because you're so small. DE compensate that by you are having some sort of small vacuum like you have in your companion to pull the loot. Because you're so small, you cannot pull the loot. So using Ironclad Flight will reduce the vacuum, will disable the vacuum, and it will reduce your damage by 40% while airborne. And this is amazing and powerful when you're building with damage reduction DR for low to mid game. Perfect. Nothing will kill you if you build full damage reduction using that augment as well. Razor Wing Bleeds. Flight speed increases by 25% and fire rate increased by 25% for 8 seconds when using abilities. Stacks up to 4 times. The best ability to activate this with, I think the first ability, just hold, and boom, you get it done. Easy to use, it's nice. Also, it increases your fire rate for her Exalted weapons because they are sort of dual pistols. And also, it increases your movement speed. Now, technically, when you have 4 stacks of this with high strength, you cannot press shift anymore because you'll be slapping walls all the time, especially in small tile sets. So it's ideal to shift and blink like Arcwing when you are in open space, but it doesn't matter. Eventually you master her movement and you'll be good to go, and that's technically her kit and augment. And now let's talk about helmet abilities and what to replace. Now, Tribute, in my opinion, is the best option to take her off and replace with the helmet ability, or Lantern after that if I want to keep Tribute. So these two is a choice you have to make. And I prefer to keep Lantern because it attracts enemies, help you CC them in a way. So Tribute is the one I take off. Now, which helmet abilities? Now, if I want to go invisible, Quiver or Evade. Now, Quiver, you have to be stationary. You have to stay in your spot because when you activate Razor Wing, your sentient disappears and you can't actually like bullet jump, right click and hit your sentience and it become invisible. So I don't prefer Quiver at all with Titania to make her invisible. But Evade, on the other hand, is like, I think, the best in slot invisibility for her, because headshot is easy on her because she's small, and when you right click, technically you see the head of the enemy right here, like in the screen, like covering your screen. When it comes to damage boosting, I will believe Roar for multiplicative damage against faction in a way, and I believe the Eclipse is so good. Now, when it comes to the Zata Whisper, I love it when it comes, for example, if you're playing against Demolists, then Zata Whisper is the way to go. Okay, now when it comes to other abilities, for example, like Nourish, amazing, procs viral on your exalted weapons and gives you energy. Also, you got other options, for example, like Silence, and I mean, there is a lot. Terrify, there is, for example, the Thermal Thunder from Gauss, perfect on her to freeze those enemies, and it's really great, crazy. So let me know in the comments below what's your favorite helmet that you use on Titania, and did you take it to level cap with that helmet. And now let's talk about the Archon Shards. Now remember, the Archon Shards is always optional, depends on what direction you're taking the build. There is no perfect Archon Shards, everyone have a different style, everyone have different reasons, so follow me here. The two Emerald Archon Shards right here to push the stacks of Corrosive from 10 to 14 to armor strip enemies with my weapons. And since my Dex Pixia is technically modded for Corrosive, so I'll be armor stripping enemies with her exalted weapons. So you get the point here. But if you have a different methods on armor stripping enemies, for example, you Nairo or Pillage 2 times taps, or you using Purify or using Tharo Strike, I don't care. Anyway, you are stripping enemies armor, these two Emerald Archon Shards become useless. Only use them when you're using a weapon with Corrosive to armor strip. Now, the two ability duration here is optional because I need more duration. For you, maybe you need more strength because you want to go more fast, or you need more casting speed because you want to cast faster. That depends on what style and what you're going to go for. But Tauforged Ember Archon Shards, you can't go wrong with casting speed, especially at the end game, so you can cast faster. It doesn't matter what helmet ability you're using. So from all this, probably the Ember Archon Shard is the only one that you want to keep. The rest, you can change them and play around with them. Depends on the build you're going for. Now, the build that I'm going to show you today is simply like so. Brief Respite. We talked already about shield gating. Rewind back to understand it. The ability we use will consume energy, and that energy will be converted to shields. So every time we lose our shield, we reach the gate, boom, we get it back with any of the abilities, and we have 1.4 seconds to do so. Now, Prime Sure-Footed is not a must, but you can take it for a backup. Now, when it's why it's a backup? Because sometimes you can forget to use Spellblind when you hold. Sometimes you tap it and then you find yourself knocked down. And also, when you don't use it and you're using the Razor Wing and you're like smashing a wall and you get that effect of like moving backward and such thing. Okay, so Prime Sure-Footed is very, very optional. Very, very optional, and you technically don't need it at all. So I took it for testing purposes and it helped me in many, many situations. So if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, and please DE, put this Prime Sure-Footed in Barokitir, and so we just stop talking about it forever. Now, if you don't have Prime Sure-Footed, use Handspring. But in my opinion, I think, for example, let's say, where is it? Let's say Power Drift, amazing on her. Power Drift is really good and it's nice. You can use Rush for sprint speed. You can use anything you really want in Exilus slot. You can use Augment, really good stuff. Choose whatever you want in here. Up to you. For me, I just throw Prime Sure-Footed in there so to make sure that I don't get knocked out. Narrow-minded for ability duration because we need a lot of durations because we're using Evade. We're going to talk about that in a second. Razor Wing, already talked about that. Primed Throw for energy max. Of course, you need as much energy as there. You don't want to run out of energy. And especially at level cap, my friend, you need to know enemies has a reduced drop of energy, health, also ammo. Remember that. Now you don't really need ammo because you're recharged, but whatever. Equilibrium as well. Trance Fortitude, strength and minus duration. Rolling guard to cleanse yourself from anything that for any statues or any, not only statues, also bad situations. Sometimes you find yourself, for example, let's say reviving a friend and near him there is 2 Eximus electric enemies. While you're reviving him, you finish reviving him, your operator get knocked to the back, and your Titania is in very bad situations. You're technically dead. Theoretically, you're dead. Rolling guard is how to save. Nullifiers, rolling guard. Thrax, caught you in a corner, no energy, rolling guard. It helps you a lot, trust me, in the end game. In the low game, brother, just take it off and just go off without it. You'll be good to go. I'm talking about the end game where things can get really, really tough. Okay, Umbrella Intensify for strength, and the Arcane Crepuscular. Now, when invisible, gain 30% ability strength. We need that for more speed and more fire rate, of course. As you can see right here, speed and fire rate is affected by ability strength from the Razor Wing Blades. Also, we get 3 times final critical multiplier for our pistols. So that's we're building it around crit chance now. Arcane Energize for energy. It's optional Arcane Energize if you feel okay about energy. If you don't feel okay, run it like this. So this for me is the perfect build for Titania. Of course, for you, my friend, you can play around with it and just, like, you know what works, play around and change it however you desire. Remove Equilibrium, put more duration, remove Energize, put multi-augmented. Now, remove Evade and put Nourish, whatever, do what you want. Now, when it comes to the helmet ability, I used Evade. Now, Evade, what makes it an amazing is that the more headshots you do, killing enemies on their weak points, headshots, let's say, extends the duration and heals Sight 09, which is Titania now. So, and with a high duration, we technically have 24 seconds to get more seconds. So technically, you can keep killing and killing with headshot, boom, 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 and you will never run out of invisibility. And there is like saying in any MMO game, they can't kill what they can't see. Simple as that. Now, when it comes to Dex Pixia, this is the build I'll be running. Lethal Turret for fire rate and multi-shot. Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot on kill, more multi-shot. Primed Expel Grunir is multiplicative damage against the faction you're fighting. You want to replace it every time you're fighting a different faction. And DE, please, give us an NPC, or maybe a Baruki tier if you don't want to code the new NPC. What is this NPC for? Simply, we give him our Primed Expel mods, and he give us universal one with all the faction. Trust me, a lot of Thanos wants to use this, but they're very lazy, and sometimes they forget to just keep swiping it. Anyway, if you are the Thanos that doesn't like to swap the faction mods, Hornet Strike is the way to go. As you can see how much it gives you already damage right about here. Crazy, crazy. Now, because this is a multiplicative and this is like additive damage, there you go, up to you which one you want to use. I prefer the multiplicative damage against faction, and if I don't want Galvanized Shot, I'll throw Hornet Strike in there instead. So just do like, so hold on, let's do like boom, 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 and there you go. You benefit from both words, but you already know how powerful is the Galvanized Shot. So I'll just take this one off, like this one here, and this one here, and you're good to go. Now, the way to change this build from, for example, Corrosive, because we're using Primed Convulsion and we're using Pistol Pestilence right here for Toxin, Electricity, to change it to Viral, for example, really simple. You remove the Convulsion and you equip what? You equip Cold right about here. This one, we can't technically put that, but you get the point here. You just put this one in here and you got Viral in there and you be good to pretty much go. Okay, now Primal Target for critical damage, Galvanized Shot. Magnetic is powerful against overguarded enemies. You don't want to fail killing Thrax or Eximus units because you can't like take down the overguard. That's gonna be very bad for you. So Magnetic is really amazing. Damage increase against shielded enemies and overguarded enemies, plus the critical damage that you're getting. Primed Expel Working, we already talked about that, and we good. Now, Suppress, because we're going invisible, reduce the chance of enemies will hear gunfire. I think, in my opinion, is the best in slot, so enemies doesn't hit the sound of your exalted weapon. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, or my theory doesn't work. Otherwise, put lethal momentum for projectile speed and you'll be good to go. Or steady hand if you don't like the recoil of the weapon. I think the recoil is good, or you can use the primed one. I don't care. Secondary Innervate. Increase critical chance by 10%. Resets after 6 big critical hits. 6 big critical hits is orange or red. Simple as that. Orange or red. Yellow crits will stack your innervate. So for example, if you have 1 million secondary innervate critical chance increase, it will be 1,000,010 because the critical chance from secondary innervate is absolute. So it's easy for this girl to reach like orange and red crits and with 10% critical chance. Now before, if you played Titania before, you know already how hard to make her for crit chance. Now you would say, Hank, why don't you run Gambit? You don't need it. You don't need it because anyway, the moment you reach red or orange, you will reset. So innervate is the best in slot, and you save yourself a spot for magnetic, and you get your build with full corrosive with 60% statue chance. Mamma mia. Now when it comes to Diwata Prime, I'll just show you the build here. I've been trying and playing around. This video is not about Diwata, and honestly, I don't like to get close to enemies with Titania, so I was just playing around with it and all. I don't like this weapon at all, honestly. And to be honest with you guys, if you plan on using melee, just play a different Warframe, honestly. You got Ash, you got millions. I mean, the weapon looks so good. I hope the E just take it off and like make it a skin or something. It will be more beneficial for everybody. Now, when it comes to companion, of course, you can use any companion you want. My favorite is Nautilus. Cordon to pull enemies, duplex for the clones. And the clones is, let's say, the best thing Titania can imagine or have. I will show you in a second. Assault mode to attack, vacuum to pull the loot, manifold for more cordon, shield, armor, health, reinforced bond for fire rate, and you need that. Tenacious bond for critical damage if your sentient weapon has 50% plus critical chance. The Everglass Prime is the best sentient weapon, but he needs a Riven, and it sucks. I know. The Rivens goes around from 500 to 600 trash, so you have to deal with that. If you don't want the Verglass Prime, the best sentient weapons, you can go for something else to activate Tenacious Bond, like Prime Tracer Rifle, Volcloak, or Burst Laser Prime, until you get your hand on a Riven. So now, you're pretty much ready for Simulacrum. Let's go. And now, first thing first, you need to learn that a lot of Thanos confusing Mesa regulators for the Dex Pixia from Titania. What I mean is that they think the Furax Wraith works on both, but it doesn't, my friend. It works only on Mesa regulators. They talk about the Amalgam Forex body, the fire rate doesn't work for the Dex Pixia. So please don't think about it and let's not argue about it. Just go check wiki. A lot of Thanos always arguing with me about it, and I tell them it doesn't work. No, it works. It works. It doesn't. Okay. Now, the way to play this is really simple. We're summoning level 230 heavy corrupted gunners right here. First thing you do is you hold the first ability. Second thing you do, you go invisible. Fourth thing you do is technically use the fourth ability, and you are now permanently invisible and in the sky. Now, if we land, as I told you, you see headshot, how easy to land? Boom. Easy as that. Look at that. The headshots we land, look at that. And we are taking down these guys, and we're expanding our, what is it? Here it is. Our evade duration. Simple as that. So technically, you just sit like this, and you be killing enemies, and that's it. And that's it. Now, if you want to, like, let's say, make those enemies, like, let's impose them and make them a bit crazy, what you do is just use the third ability on one of them, like this. You see him how he's performing, and he will be, like, attracting those enemies, and you'll be using the first ability once, twice, 3 times, until you reach the cap of your Razor Blitz. Then, what you want to be doing is you'll be landing headshots like so. Now, she is a single target weapon. Now, of course, you may think, Hank, isn't it better to run, for example, the Secondary Pistolier? Yes, of course. Secondary Pistolier is amazing and powerful on her. Landing headshots will give you pretty much 8 seconds, I believe, of like infinite ammo. I don't like to use it because I didn't feel the need of it, as my build can kill level cap enemies with 1 magazine, pretty much. So, and the charging is really easy, and there is no issue around at all. So let's go really quick to Void Mod, so I can show you how actually this build work in there. And here we are. First thing I'm gonna do, we're gonna go invisible, of course, and then we go Razor Wing, and then first ability hold, and then what you actually can do, my friend, is technically aim right here or right here, and you'll be shooting like so. Okay, eventually you will get a headshot. Okay, look at that. Boom, reload, boom, shoot, boom, reload, shoot. Look at that. And you'll be clearing those guys like Cutting through butter. Look at that. Now, when you get some energy, you cast the first ability 3 times for the blitz. Boom, 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 to get all your fire rate there. And as you can see, things get really messy and really crazy. And honestly, I don't recommend this. I just don't recommend this. All right. And as you can see, enemies doesn't even know we are here. They don't even know we're here. They're just like running around, not knowing anything what's happening. Like who's shooting them, who's killing them, what's even happening. So bullet. And let me tell you something. If you're running out of Dexpixia bullets constantly, it's because you're using so much on that enemy. For example, this enemy dies with 1 shot. This guy does 1 shot, 1 shot. Why would you go like skrrr, like take it easy, bro. There you go. There you go. See that? There you go. Boom. Tapping them. Like all it takes is like, look at that. One bullet. One bullet. That's all it takes. 1 bullet. That's all you need, friend. 1 bullet. Even at level cap, again, she's a single targeting frame. You will not expect her. Of course, you can build, for example, around the blast or gas or something like that. But she is a very, 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 very easy Warframe to use. Of course, she will not clear rooms, like, for example, nuking Warframes. But she's really good. She's really good. She moves fast. She's not a Warframe for survival missions. Let's be clear about that. But she's a Warframe that gets the job done. And that's what you need, a Warframe that gets the job done. I think Titania is best, in my opinion. Capture, Exterminate, Relic, or Cascade. She's really good at Cascade. I enjoyed playing her so much on Cascade. I took her to Cascade level cap twice. Okay? After the Exalted Rework, of course. Before the Exalted Rework, I think I took her only once. So technically I took her 3 times to level cap because it's not my main. But she's very comfortable to use when it comes, for example, to disruptions or anything that doesn't require life support. She's good. Or anything that doesn't require clearing a whole room. She's good to go like single targeting. They don't stand a chance. And now you are freaking invisible. And you like, it's very easy to play, honestly. And by this we reach the end. I would give Titania 8 out of 10 after the Exalted Rework. Now she can reach orange crits and red crits easy. And she's very amazing, easy to use. Don't complicate it too much for yourself. She's really easy to use. First ability, immunity to status. Second ability, change it for helmet. Third ability, hit on an enemy, attracts all enemies around. Fourth ability, you become a little butterfly. Enemies is very hard to hit you, and you run around very fast, and you shoot enemies with your exalted pistols. That's all what's about her. Of course, you can run full 2 paws, 4 critical chance and everything, but I think it's a waste. Innervate can handle all. Of course, you can run, for example, secondary fortifier or secondary encumber for more status on enemies and to get overguard. But honestly, I didn't find that she is like squishy when it comes to invisibility, because enemies cannot kill what they cannot see. Simple as that. She's a Warframe that's worth investing in, and she's a Warframe a lot of people maining, especially in Void Relics and fast runs and open world missions. She's amazing, and now she's capable of level cap. And I want to say thank you so much for everyone supporting me in any way, liking, subbing, commenting, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Discord. Big love to you all, and I want to say special thanks to Hall of members, especially VIPs, undisputed donators, and Hall of donations, and everyone in my community. You guys are amazing. And remember, Tano, stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time.